Okay, there's another scripture, Luke 21:29.
21:29.
Yeah, 21:29. Just give you something to think about. And Josie, tell me what it reads.
And King James or NIV? Oh,
It doesn't matter.
okay. Okay, King James. And he spoke to them a parable. Behold the fig tree and all the trees.
Yes, read your 33.
Okay, 29 to 30. When they now shoot forth, ye see and know of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand. So likewise ye, when ye see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away.
Okay, what generation is he referring to?
See, I would say this generation because he said summer is at hand and people harvest in the fall.
Okay, what do you think?
I agree with Sam, only because, he said until all these things happen. It was
Okay.
just the past tense, which would not have been before.
Okay, anybody else?
This generation, whoever he's speaking to.
No, go ahead. I'm trying to sort of put together what you just said. Okay, whoever he's speaking to? What do you mean by that?
Well, he's speaking to, told in this parable. So whoever he's speaking to, he's saying this generation.
So he's talking to the disciples. And Sam said, you said you're speaking to what generation? This generation?
Yeah, I said this.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, what, Joyce? LaShawn?
I'm not sure.
This generation, and God can also speak to those things that are.
Okay, that's good. But
All generations, all, until everything is
all
done,
generations?
until everything is done. It says until it's
But
fulfilled.
isn't he speaking to the disciples?
Speaking to the disciples, he's speaking to the disciples, but about,
Okay, that's what I want you to understand. He's speaking to the disciples,
but.
but he's speaking about something that is to come. So what he's saying is that generation, we don't know if it's this generation, but that generation, that's when the end will come. It's that generation. Okay?
Sounds right? God
No,
speaks
not,
to those things.
on that, yeah. Yeah, you can always use that, Josie. Yeah, that is true. But people be saying all the time, that generation, this generation or that. No, it's that generation when all those things are fulfilled. And so that may not be this generation. That may be what's this kid's name? Azariah's children's generation. Could be. Okay. April, what was the deal with the disciple? Who was Jesus' first disciple? No way. No way. Go home, man.
It was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother.
What?
Andrew, Simon Peter's brother.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
I'll say Philip, only because that's what I had in my notes, but what I had in my notes did not give an explanation as to why, so even when I went back and read it, I would not have been able to figure out that Philip was the first disciple, although because I knew the answer, I was able to kind of come up with, I think, a possible answer as to why he was the first disciple.
Would you bet your car on that? The Bible didn't say why?
No.
Would you bet your car?
I wouldn't even bet.
You said the Bible didn't say.
No, I said it was hard for me to decipher actually who was the first disciple just by reading that. But knowing the answer, I was able to read it and say, okay, okay, this is why.
Okay.
But without having the answer, I don't think I would have been able to understand it.
What if I told you that the answer is in there?
I'm seeing that.
LaShawn, what was that?
What if you told us the answer is what?
Is in there. She said she didn't see it. But it is in there.
No, I said if I did not know the answer prior to.
No, I'm not talking about who was the first disciple.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about why we can say he's the first disciple.
Oh, because he was the first one that Jesus went to personally. And there was, and the other disciples that referenced in this particular chapter, it was a middle person that had that interaction with that, like Nathaniel. Philip went to Nathaniel, but God personally, and I can just,
Okay.
God personally made that first personal contact with Philip.
They all came to him.
Okay,
Okay, you're close.
okay.
Okay, LaShawna, read it.
Where am I reading?
You read what I asked you to read.
John 1.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. I'm being the stern teacher today. What is it?
But
John,
it is John chapter 1.
John chapter 1. What verse are we looking at?
Oh, I thought you said 35.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, read that.
Verse 35.
Yeah, okay.
The next day, John was there again with 2 of his disciples. When he saw Jesus passing by, he said, "Look, the Lamb of God." When the 2 disciples heard him say this, they followed Jesus. Turning around, Jesus saw them following and asked, "What do you want?" They said, "Rabbi," which means teacher. "Where are you staying?" "Come," he replied, "and you will see." So they went and saw where he was staying and spent the day with him. It was about the 10th hour. Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, was one of 2 who heard what John had said and who had followed Jesus. The first thing Andrew did was to find the brother Simon and tell him, "We have found the Messiah," that is the Christ, and he brought him to Jesus. Jesus looked at him and said, "You are Simon, son of John. You will be called Cephas," which is translated is Peter. The next day, Jesus decided to leave for Galilee. Finding Philip, he said to him, "Follow me." Philip, like Andrew and Peter, was from the town of Bethsaida. Philip found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, and about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the
Okay,
son of Joseph."
we'll stop right there. I don't want you to lose that train of thought. Victoria is right on that right there, that Jesus ran into or found who? Philip. Keep going.
"Nazareth, can anything good come from there?" Nathanael asked. "Come and see," said Philip. When Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said to him, "Here is a true Israelite, in whom there is nothing false." "How do you know me?" Nathanael asked. Jesus answered, "I saw you while you were still under the fig tree, before Philip called you." Then Nathanael declared, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." Jesus said, "You believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree. You shall see greater things than that." He then added, "I tell you the truth. You shall see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man."
Okay, on that right there, no one even knows what that means, what Jesus said right there. But I want to go back to this certain spot. Let's go back to the next day, Jesus, we're looking at 43. The next day, Jesus decided to leave for Galilee, finding Philip. Now, what is the difference with what Jesus, with any interaction with anyone else? What did Jesus say to Philip?
Follow me.
Okay. He didn't say that to anyone, any other ones. Okay. Now, when we go back to Luke in the 5th chapter, you see that Jesus runs into Peter and John and James again, Andrew, again, while they're fishing. They left. Remember, they came and they sat with Jesus all day long. They weren't ready. A lot of us are not ready.
Right.
Okay. We need time. That's why you don't try to force people to come up in church. They need time. They weren't ready. They went back to work. But they thought about what Jesus was talking about, but they thought, yeah, I don't measure up to that. That's too strict of a life for me or whatever. So when Jesus got on the boat, remember, he told Peter turned around and said, "Let's go to it." Look at John, the 5th chapter. Excuse me, not John, Luke, the 5th chapter. Look at the 5th verse. Or maybe the 4th verse. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, put out into deep water and let down your nets for a catch. Simon Peter answered, Master, we have worked hard all night and haven't caught a thing. But because you say so, in other words, you're the religious guy, you're the guy that people were talking about, okay? But really what he's saying is that, but I'm the fisherman. You ever tell God that? But I kind of like, you never told God that? You don't have to say
I
it
haven't said
verbally,
it verbally, but I know.
but your actions show it all the time. I think I know what I'm talking about. Okay? Okay. But I will let down my nets for a draw. Let down the nets, of King James Version said for a draw. Now, when he had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled to their partners in the other boat to come and help them, and they came to fill both boats so full that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this, he fell to his knees. God has to break us. Break us of our pride. So Simon Peter saw, he fell to his knees and said, Go away from me, I am a sinful man. Let's look at the first beatitude. What is the first beatitude? Verse 3 says.
Blessed are the ones that are
Poor in spirit. You got to break that spirit. It's like breaking a horse. You have to break somebody in. And so now he says, Lord, I'm a sinful man. In other words, you got the wrong, you might as well just let me alone. I'm no good. But look what he says. For he and his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken. That astonishment is also a fear. They're struck with fear. Who am I dealing with? For this to happen. They recognized the fact that this was God doing something in their life. Okay? When James and John, sons of Zebedee, and so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, and Simon's partners. Then Jesus said to Simon, Don't be afraid. From now on, you will catch men. And they pulled their boats up on the shore and left everything to what?
Follow him.
Follow him. They're ready. They're ready to go on that journey. People are just not ready to go on. Don't get mad at people because they're not following. God has everything, and they're not ready to follow. They have to be broken first. And God has to put them through something to break them first. But that didn't mean that Peter had to say, okay, I will. He still could have said, nah. And this is what God goes through with people over and over. Nah, still not ready. Nah, until it never happens. You see my point? So Philip was the first one that Jesus said, follow me. He's the first he's the first member of the New Testament church. And we never even hear about Philip again, just about, except for when he brings some fishes and loaves to Jesus. But you never hear about him. So he wasn't big in the New Testament church, but he was a solid member. Okay. Any questions on that? Really? Really? No questions? You guys good with that? What about you, Joyce? You good with that? Okay.
That's right.
So why was Philip the first member?
He was the first one Jesus asked to follow.
He's the first one for Jesus said to follow. Now remember, on the Transfiguration or the Sons of Thunder, it wasn't Philip. When they went up on the mount, there was three that was called the Sons of Thunder, and that was James, John, and Peter. They went with Jesus. That was Jesus' inner circle in that church. That was his closest man he was to. It wasn't Philip. It wasn't Nathaniel. Though they came along before the others did.
So did they fall away then at some point? Not fall away, but
They were seeking something, Sam, when they were down being baptized by John the Baptist.
yeah.
They were seeking, and they repented. Matthew was there too.
Yeah.
Maybe not with Jesus, but he was baptized by John the Baptist. And remember when Jesus stopped by and said, follow me? And you say, well, how do you know that Matthew was baptized by John the Baptist? Okay, first of all, remember John the Baptist talked about the tax collectors. He didn't mention John by name. Well, I didn't mention Matthew by name. Remember, Jesus walked up to Matthew and said, "Come follow me," and he left. After a long time, he left. But then, what does Peter say in Acts? I think is it Acts 2 or Acts 1? When he turns around and he says, in order to be a disciple, remember he stepped out of line and made the criteria for the disciple who was going to replace Judas. He said all of them had to be baptized by John the Baptist and follow with Jesus, all the time since he started. Remember that? So that tells you that Matthew was baptized by John the Baptist. Along with, who wasn't a disciple, but remember the little guy, Zacchaeus, that climbed up in the tree? He was the chief tax collector. Remember, he was broken to the point he climbed up the tree to see Jesus, and Jesus turned and said, "Zacchaeus, I must dwell at your house this evening." In other words, they were there. They repented for what they did, but they went back doing the same old thing that they always did. Isn't that happens with us? Things haven't changed. We're still the same. That's why God saves us and secures that. Because if he didn't secure it, if one person can lose their salvation, just one, we're all going to lose it. Because we don't stay committed.
Right.
Okay? This is why Jesus says only a few will find it. What? Salvation? No. Kingdom living. Only a few can tighten their belt when they make that decision, when they're baptized to say, "I'm going to commit to this." And yeah, they're going to step in and out, but not this long walking away, because we only can stay. We can't live there. We're going to stay in there for moments of the day. But I'm talking about the commitment. That, Lord, yeah, I failed, but I'm sorry. But that's what Jesus is looking for. I just thought I'd throw that in today. I mean, I didn't mean to go that deep in it. I just thought we were going to answer the question. Okay, so we're on the 14th. If you guys don't have any questions, we're on the 14th chapter of Matthew. Should take 2 lessons, okay? And we should not be on this like we were on the parables for like 6 or 8 weeks. Okay, and that was long and hard. If you see my notebook, it's empty again. This is the second time I had to empty all my papers out because this is a lot of notes. Okay? So, how are you guys' notes? How do you look? A lot of notes?
Yeah, pretty long.
Yeah, it's a long journey.
Halfway.
Okay, chapter 14. Let me just go to give you a short introduction. It's another transition that's taken place. Okay, we have been looking at a more topical kind of study. What am I talking about? Presenting Jesus as king. That's what we've been talking about for the longest. That Jesus was showing them that he is the Messiah, that he is the king, and letting them know what kingdom living is all about. And he is the king of the Jews. He made that clear over and over and over again, okay? But first we need to remember that the book of Matthew it's not written in chronological order. So all that we have been looking at from chapter 1 to through chapter 13 is not in chronological order. It's all over the place, okay? But remember, how do Eastern people write?
The most important thing first.
They write what they're trying to convey to you, which is the most important thing first. Western people do not think that way. Western people want chronological order. Our newspapers do not start off with, telling you who all died. It starts off fire happened, and then it's the headline, and then you start reading everything that happened. And sometimes I've been trying to find out the information, and I'm like, when are they going to get to?
Yeah, you kind of ruined
And I just click off.
articles for me. because I same thing. You know, I'll read a tech article and they say this new phone is coming out, or is Cody going to go away? And then you start the, well, what is Cody? Cody is going to say no.
I can't see. I don't like that. Drives me out of my mind until I just get. I just want to. I just want to get to where I want to get to,
It's the same
and
with the
you can
news.
keep. And then in the midst of me reading all that stuff, pop-ups come,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, okay, that's it. I'm done. I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
So I let it go. I hate that type of our Western type of chronological order. Just give me the fact. You know, don't tell me everything. You know, just don't do that to me. I don't like that. So anyway, really, what's more significant to them is what they're going to convey to you in their writings. First, you know, in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. And then all of a sudden, He goes through all the processes, you know, of everything. And then He goes back when people turn around and tell you, well, there's 2 creations. And there's 3 creations of Adam and Eve. Whatever. No. He told you so much, and then He goes back and He fills in all the blanks on what He missed out on. He just wanted to get to some specific things first. That's just how they write. They write from right to left. We write from left to right. We think different. They'll kill you in a heartbeat. Anger. They bargain barter. What do you call it?
Barter.
Barter over everything. We see a price, we just go pay. Really? Yeah, we do. You know, I started doing that. Barter stuff. It works.
It does, yeah, especially when dealing with them.
Yeah.
You know, people from that back east.
They just love to do it.
Yeah.
I heard you can do that on your healthcare as well. It's like you go hospital, you can bargain up your price.
You know why rich people don't care about healthcare? You know why? You know when Rush Limbaugh had bad back or whatever, you know, drugs, he's on all that stuff. He don't have healthcare. He's a millionaire. He turns around and says, "I'll pay you so much for this." They say, "Okay." They don't. You say $10,000. That's it. They don't pay healthcare. We pay healthcare because we don't have enough to barter with. Do you know the insurance don't even? You see all those claims on your insurance form? You say, "Wow, $60 for an aspirin." That is just fake. Nobody pays $60 for an aspirin. That the insurance companies looks at that. They let you see that. The insurance company look at that and say, this is what we're going to pay you for. That's how the system works. That's why they can't figure out what to do right now. Right now, they're just trying to give take care of the rich folks.
Yeah.
Make sure they get their cut out of all this. You'll never take the time and figure out what how bad you're getting screwed. Right. They're not thinking about you. So don't worry about all what's going on. Let them have that chaos. You just trust God and keep going. You know? All right, so really, rich people do not have insurance. That's a waste of their time. All right? It's amazing how they say you don't have to have health insurance, but they make you have car insurance.
That's what I say. Take away that or lower it.
Yeah, you don't have to pay car insurance. I mean, you have to pay car insurance.
Yeah.
Or you lower it at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's amazing. But that's more that. We're not into politics anymore. Okay, so but now things are gonna after chapter 14, after 13, 14, things are now just about in chronological order. You can almost bet your stilettos on it. Okay, all right. So we're gonna turn this.
I'm laughing because I'm wearing these.
I don't. Okay, look. So we're going to return to, this is where we're going to return to. We're going to return to the place where Jesus sent out the 70. Remember that? And remember when they came back, Jesus sent out the 70, told them, don't take any bag, don't take any food with you, you got to get this. This is important. You got to get this. Remember when Jesus sent 70 out and told them that they were going to be taken care of. The first person that receives you in their house, stay there. Don't take No food, no purse with money, nothing with you. Okay? Remember that? Please, do you guys remember that? Okay, because you guys are looking at me like,
So
not quite.
people like to debate that. Well, they like to debate what happened the second time, like chapter 26 or something like that.
What?
Remember the second time where Jesus was like, this time, if you need a sword, take it or something like that.
Oh, that was when you were getting ready to die.
Yeah, but certain people like to debate.
Oh, that's
Jesus is telling you it's okay to have a gun.
We're not getting into guns today, okay? We're not gonna do that. No Second Amendment, okay? The point that I need you to focus on the fact that we're going back to the place where Jesus sent out the 70, and they come back and say, everything happened just like what you said. We didn't have to pay anything. We didn't need any money. We were fed, and even the devil was subject. Demons were subject to us. And Jesus turned around and said, that ain't no big deal. I kicked Satan out of heaven. I saw him fly out of heaven like lightning. Okay, that's no big deal. He said, but be thankful that your names are written in the book of heaven. That's what that's what I need you to concentrate on. That they went out and they had and everything that Jesus said would happen would happen. Okay, that's just in your mind, right? Okay, good. Okay, so this is going to affect the things about our study. You get that in your mind. The things we go through, you're gonna have that aha moment. Like, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. Okay, so now we move to a different type of this teaching. It's going to be about we're leaving Jesus being the king, and now we're going to talk about faith. He's going to be teaching his disciples about faith. And I always say, a sharper faith, but I always say, not just faith, but what? Write this down, because I've been saying this to you for a long time. A better quality of faith. Now, you remember me saying that to you? I've been saying that for you for a long time, trying to get you ready for this moment. A better quality of faith. That is the difference between someone who says, I have faith, and someone who says, I have faith. That person who says, I have faith, and that person says, I have faith. That's a better quality of faith. You hear the way they say it? I have faith. Because I know what I know. I know that Jesus is going to take care of me. I know that. That's the difference. That's the faith that the centurion had. Remember? When the centurion turned around and he had Jews living in his house, and one of them was sick, and he sent a servant out there and to tell the story, and that this man he made this centurion, he loved the Jews, he loved our country, and he built a synagogue, and his servant is sick. And Jesus says, I'll come. And then all of a sudden he sent word, said, no, you don't even need to come into my house. Because the Jews, he knew that the Jews would come against Jesus for going in that centurion's house. Being a rabbi, which was no law at all, that was something they made up. But he said, no, you don't have to come in my house. I'm a man of authority, and you're a man of authority. I tell people to go and they go. I tell them to come and they come. He said, just speak the word. That's a better quality of faith. Just speak the word. If you are the Messiah, which I hear you are, you the man, just speak the word. And my servant will be healed. Jesus looked back at his disciples and said, that's a Gentile. See what I'm telling you? The difference between your faith and other people's faith? People that believe. Remember the physician woman who turned around and said, Jesus said, the Jews always call them dogs. Anybody else? And she's crying behind Jesus. And she said, what did she say?
Even a dog.
No. What did she say when she was crying behind? I want you guys to get this. What did she say? She said, Son of David. Oh, Son of David. What does that mean? She's a Gentile. You're the Messiah. The Pharisees was following behind Jesus, saying, "You ain't nobody. You ain't nothing." Remember, he left his hometown. They tried to kill him. Remember that? They didn't believe in him, and Jesus couldn't do any miracles. But the physicians woman hollering, "Son of David," then Jesus gonna play the game that the Jews play. He said, "Should I give the children meat to the dogs?" And that woman said, she said, what did she say? She said, "Even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the table." Jesus looked back at his disciples again. "Are you getting this? Are you getting it?" He said, "Go home. Whatever you want is done." That's the difference, April, with a quality of faith. To know for sure that Jesus got you, but you need to recognize who he is. He's God. All the fullness of God dwells in Jesus. He's God. Are you starting to see the difference here? Why is it that the Gentiles recognize things that the Jews wouldn't? You know why? Because Jesus didn't fit the mold. It didn't matter to a Gentile. They didn't have a mold that to fit. He was doing miracles, and they were saying, "Ain't nobody can do that kind of stuff." That's the Messiah you guys been talking about for so long. And they were like, "No, it isn't."
Right.
You see what I'm saying? All right, okay, all right. I just want you to see, this is where we're going. So I want you to see this. This is good stuff when you really think about it. It'll leave an impact on your mind when you read the Bible the way it's supposed to be written. Read. Did I say written? Read. Okay, so we're moving to this study of faith, and not just more faith, because remember when it came down to forgiveness, forgiving somebody 1,000 times or 2,000 times or 3,000 times, the disciples ran to Jesus and says, "Lord, give us more faith." And Jesus says, "You don't need more faith. You just need the faith of the size of a mustard seed. You need a little faith." But what Jesus wanted them to understand is the quality of faith. To not doubt it. Not doubt. Don't have a little bit of, "I know you can." But the quality of faith, "I know you can. And if you desire to do it, it will be done." You know, not a bully type of faith. "Oh yeah, I know he's going to do that for me." No. Is that if he chooses to do it for me, only he can do it. You see, and you have to believe that. You have to know that. Okay, that's why Jesus takes us through trials in our lives, so that we grow in our faith. Your son, if he never go through anything, if you always tie his shoe, he'll never learn anything. But there's times when you say, "I'm sorry, you have to struggle to learn how to tie your shoe, because I ain't doing it no more." Then it's like, "Oh," he's crying in the room, "Oh," throwing shoes around, "Oh," walking out with shoelaces all like that. But you say, "You know what? You want them tied? You'll learn to tie them." And after a while, he'll learn and say, "Well, could you show me again?" "Yeah, I'll show you again. But pay attention this time. You won't be looking everywhere again. Concentrate." I know, been through that. My dad was right there and said, "Son, ain't nobody tying you." I still remember that day where I was. And I remember my sister down the hall, my oldest sister. My dad was sitting there drinking his coffee, and my oldest sister. I never forget that. And I got it. Okay? I got it, you know. That's why I still got these calluses in my hand. And my dad always talking to me, I was digging in my hand. I love that man. He's a good man. Anyway, he was tough, but hey, you know, he was right on. You know, I mean, he was the man. Yeah, I'm gonna be looking for him real quick. Okay, so Jesus focused on faith more intently now. Why? Because he's going to the cross, and he's got to get these men ready. And so we're going to start looking at what's to be taking place in the local New Testament church. Okay? All right, so his teaching is, once again, more intense. It's to the 12, and because, again, he's about to go away. It's about a year. It's about a year away from his departure. So now he's looking directly at them saying, "Okay, boys, we're going to have to get this together. There's no more play. You got a year. Let's get going." Now, His popularity was growing, and he has become more prominent. Okay, and he was about to make his showdown in Jerusalem. Anytime you go to Jerusalem, that's the hub. That's the hub of the religious leaders, and that's where you will get killed and get killed quick. So Jesus will go in and out, in and out. Why? Because when they got ready to stone him or whatever, Jesus just slipped away and going about his business. You don't want to mess around in Jerusalem. And so now Jesus is going up to deal with the religious establishment up there. And it's a very hostile area. And so he's teaching them that I'm going to take care of you in any situation. Whatever the situation, I can take care of you. You don't even believe that today, do you? But you're getting there, right? You're not learning this for no reason at all. You're learning it for a reason. Because God wants to increase your faith. So he's going to take you through it. Don't panic. Like it's the end of the world. You're going through things because he wants you to have a better quality of life. Some of us won't give into that. We got our own agenda, and that's right, George? You got your own agenda. You see? She got her own agenda. That's what I'm trying to tell you. All right. Okay, so Matthew first brings us back to the relationship between John and Herod, John the Baptist. I'm going to show you something there. This is so great. The Bible is unbelievable. If you just take some time to read it the way it's supposed to be written. It's unbelievable. Okay? I start sounding like Trump. Oh, it's unbelievable. Man, it's the best thing ever.
I did have a flash.
I felt like that. Okay, here we go. Okay, so. Oh, okay. Help me.
you don't do this.
Help me. Okay. So Matthew first brings us back to the relationship with John the Baptist and Herod and all the things that's taken place in Galilee. Okay, and there's a reason for this. Matthew is setting the stage for some things that are going to take place later. Okay, can't tell you now because he's setting the stage for something to take place later. Okay, so I want to do a slight overview of Matthew 14th chapter real quick, and I'm going to start off with Matthew 13, the last verse in chapter 13. Okay. So let me read. Okay, and he did not. You know what, Lashana? Why don't you do this? Because you're a good reader. Why don't you start from chapter? My eyes are flickered from, and I hate that. But anyway, read from verse 13, 58 to 14:12.
And he did not do many miracles there because of their lack of faith. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard the reports about Jesus, and he said to his attendants, "This is John the Baptist. He has risen from the dead. That is why miraculous powers are at work in him." Now Herod had arrested John and bound him and put him in